Hey everyone, I'm Marianne. I live here in Canada with my husband and 2 kids ages 6 and 7. I make videos on simplifying life and motherhood through easy organization and decluttering. We have simplified our home to a point where it is so peaceful, so amazing to be in, and I want you to get there too, which is exactly why I share all of these videos with you. Today we are doing a speed declutter. Here in our home, we have had one of those months where it feels like everyone has been sick for weeks. And we were kind of in survival mode. You know, those weeks where you're kind of just doing what you have to get by, but nothing extra. And so we have finally reached the end of that month. I feel like we are all on the mend and it is time to do some catch up. As much as I would love to spend an entire day resetting the house, right now in this week, I don't have time for that. All I have time for is like a quick little 30-minute declutter. I have chose 3 specific areas of the house that have been bugging me that I know I can do quickly and that I know it'll feel really good when it's done. This is perfect for when you have a little bit of time in your day, whether it's after dinner, before dinner, early in the morning, first thing on the weekend, where you only maybe have 30 minutes, but you want to make some impact. So I have picked out a bin that we had in the basement. I emptied it and I am going to carry this with me to all 3 spaces. And I'm going to fill it with all the items that I'm decluttering, that I'm moving, getting out of those spaces. So I'm going to take you with me to all 3 of those spaces. I'm going to show you how I do it when I'm doing like a quick speed mini declutter. And then we're going to come back here and see what we got rid of, how much we got rid of, and how it went. So let's meet back here and let's get going right now. The very first space was our Tupperware drawer, which is a classic, and ours is pretty functional. However, I knew I could feel it got to the point where it's just driving me kind of crazy. I have a rule of thumb for Tupperware drawers or food storage drawers, whatever you want to call it, and it is that at some point during the week, I should almost run out of containers. That's kind of my rule of thumb. So if I'm not like almost running out every week, then I'm probably not utilizing every single item, and or I just know that that's too much in my drawer, that I just don't have room for it all. So it was kind of also just the point where I knew this was driving me crazy, and there was a few that I absolutely wanted to get rid of. So I did that super quickly. Second space, we moved into Annie Rose's room. She is 6, and this is her treasure drawer. So in her dresser, the bottom drawer is dedicated to sort of like her stuff. She can control this drawer. It is all hers, which she loves. However, as you can see, it sort of gets out of control every once in a while, and having it makes the room tidier because we can just toss stuff in there, but it definitely does get out of hand sometimes because she's 6 and she's managing it herself. So this morning, the morning that I did this, she could see I had my camera out, and before she left for school, she said, "Oh, are you making a video today, Mom?" And I said, "Yeah, I think I'm going to declutter your treasure drawer." And she's like, "Oh, yes, thank you." She said, "That treasure drawer is turning into a junk drawer." So even she at 6 years old recognizes it had got out of hand. And honestly, I feel like doing this more often gets the kids used to it, gets you used to it, and they start to trust you. She knows that I'm not going to get rid of all her favorite items. I'm not going to toss things that are important to her. I totally respect what is important to her, but I also know that she's 6 and there's only so much she can do in terms of knowing how much and how appropriate it is to manage things. So you can see here, I made 3 piles. Everything that went to that white bin, which I told you I brought around with me when I was decluttering, I put everything in there that was a go. So whether it was toss, recycle, return to someone, or donate or give to a friend, whatever it was, if it was leaving our house, it went into that bin. Then I also create a pile of rehoming stuff. So sometimes, a lot of times when I'm doing any type of decluttering, organizing, I'm rehoming things. So there's ended up being a ton of craft stuff. You can see a lot of those stickers. They were still good and still usable, but they don't need to be in this dresser. We have a specific craft drawer for all of that stuff down in the dining area. So that was all sort of our rehoming pile. And then the third final pile was basically all keep items. So that's everything that we decided to keep and we put back into her drawer. So I know like when I'm showing these videos and I'm showing these clips where I'm working through things and I obviously fast forward through things, I feel like I try to include some moments where it kind of goes slower and I'm sort of pausing to think, because although like, yes, this is a speed declutter and I try to like do things efficiently, it does take some thought, you know, like I don't want to discount the fact that it does require energy to make these decisions. And I do think you get better and faster at it. However, like it's not like this thoughtless process that I just do. Like I am thinking about her and thinking about, you know, members of our family and what we're using and what we're not using. So it doesn't, in real life, it does go, you know, slower and more thoughtful. The second thing I did here was get rid of this girl clock. Oh my gosh, it felt so good. It was like an eyesore, and she wasn't using it, honestly, so I felt good to get that off of her dresser. And the last little final thing I did, she had these drawings on her door, and she's been there for months. And I respect like all of her creations, but I just needed that space to be clear just for like a little while. So she didn't care. She said, "Oh, Mom, these must have fallen off my drawer." I said, "Oh yeah, they must have fallen off. I guess you have to make more." So I'm sure she'll add some new creations soon, but we have it peaceful for a little while. So showing you there, we're at 15 minutes. So we've already done 2 spaces and we're halfway through. And the third and final space is my clothing. So this is my dresser, my closet. I share obviously with Scott, but half of the drawers are mine and half of the hanging space is mine. I've shown this before, but doing this, like, obviously, I've just shown lots of videos where I've done a huge, you know, clothing overhaul, wardrobe overhaul. But this was a moment, and I feel like it's good inspiration for people. If the thought of doing like a huge clothing overhaul is too much, it is fine to do it bite size. Like I just knew that it was bugging me. My drawers were bugging me. I knew that there was just like a few too many items and the stuff that I know I just wasn't using and wearing. And it was making it harder to find the stuff that I do love. So I just like quickly went through there. It took, you'll see, less than 15 minutes. And I just went in, kind of reset it a bit. As you can see, like in real life, my drawers day to day on a normal, like middle of the busy week aren't like perfect looking. They're just real life. Like I don't do a tuck fold normally on my clothes unless like I'm doing a big reset, but I'll just usually fold like this. Like it's just a quick fold. A lot of these clothes are honestly sometimes items I just put on, you know, like after work for a couple of hours and then I'll put them back in there. Like if it's something that's, you know, just a house clothing, I'm going to put back in. So I'm not like too picky about that, but it's just like I knew I needed like a little reset and there was a few items I had in my mind. So I quickly grabbed those out, just kind of reviewed what I had in there. I have 2 drawers. One is for tops, one's for bottoms, and that's how I keep it organized. It's pretty straightforward, pretty basic. And I just let go of a few things that I know I wasn't absolutely loving and absolutely using. And it just made the whole space feel so much better. Okay, we did it. Let's check our timer. Woo! We have 8 minutes left, 8.5 minutes left. So we didn't even use the full 30 minutes. So that only took me 21 minutes and we did 3 spaces. So that's pretty good. So the first stop was the Tupperware drawer. I don't really buy a lot of Tupperware, so I don't have to declutter this too often. However, just lately I found that we kind of hit our capacity. And so I knew there were some that I just don't like. Like I just certain ones, you know how just like how the lid goes on or like the weirdest thing you just don't like, or you like, you can just never quite fit all leftovers in these ones. So I was able to quickly go through. It's like I already knew the ones that were annoying me in my mind. So I quickly grabbed those, put them in our bin and we were good to go. The other random thing that was in that drawer is this Bubba. Okay. So this Bubba I have probably had for 20 years, like at least. We had this Bubba specifically for when you go on an all-inclusive vacation, you know, and it's like all the drinks are included and you take a drink and you like swim around the pool with it and this keeps it cold. I feel like when we were in our 20s and maybe even early 30s, it was like that was a big priority. But realistically, if we go to an all-inclusive, we probably aren't going to be swimming around with our drinks because we have 2 small kids that we're chasing around all day. And secondly, we have other ones we could use and it is ridiculous and it is such proof that like you keep on to things just because in your mind that made sense. 10 years ago that made sense, but now like realistically, why am I hanging on to this? I have no idea. So I am so pumped to let this one go. Okay, next we went into Annie Rose's room, which was the biggest one in terms of how much we got rid of. We got rid of a ton of Annie Rose stuff. A ton of, like, again, coloring sheets, half-done coloring sheets that I know she will never finish. This was a craft that she made when we went to the museum in the winter time that I know she doesn't care about and will never remember, so we're gonna let that go. Activity book from when they did like bus safety training at school, stuff like that. Also found her library card in there, which I actually keep in my wallet. Little lights, like mini lights that I think one of her friends gave her that she had wrapped around her bed, but you have to press the button to turn them on, and so she would do that all through the night, and it took her forever to fall asleep because she would keep pressing these. So we told her they had to go off of her bed, and I was just waiting until the day she forgot they existed to hide them. So I'm gonna put them in our donate bin, and some other kid that's older and more responsible can have them on their bed. This was an activity book that she got at the book fair. Do your kids go to their book fair at their school? Ours have a book fair, which in theory, I love the idea of. I love books, I love reading, love supporting the school and raising money for them that way. However, this was way outside of her, like she can't read or write yet. So this is way outside of her like level, her reading level. So that I'm gonna just donate because she forgot she had it. I think she kept getting frustrated with it because she knew she couldn't really do anything with it. So I'm gonna donate that. It's a little girl that's a little bit older will work on that. Oh my gosh, all the jewelry. I don't even know where all this comes from. She gets it like in free bins sometimes. Friends make them and bring them from school. I have no idea. We actually do have like a bead bin, so I might like just tear them apart and put the beads in with our beads. But maybe like there's a couple that I think I'll actually donate that are actually like cute necklaces for kids. But the ones that are just randomly made, I'll probably just tear them apart and put the beads into our bead bin. There's a dress that is way too small for her that honestly I have no idea how it even got in there. She must have stole it from somewhere and snuck it in there, but that we can easily donate. And she has got out of the tutu phase, which is interesting. I did keep one tutu in there because she does do dance, so in case she needed it for dance one day. But she's really completely over them. She hasn't worn these in months and months. So I'm gonna put those for now just into the too small bag that we have in Leo's closet, which I talk about all the time. And I'm gonna put them in there just in case she does ask about them. So they're out of sight, out of mind. And I think probably in a few months, I'll end up just donating them and passing them on to friends who would love them. But she is completely out of the tutu phase. If you guys have daughters, what age do you remember did they go out of the tutu phase? It's much earlier than I expected. She also had a ton, she's really obsessed with makeup right now. I guess she's out of tutus into makeup. So she has tons of lip gloss. Oh my gosh, lip oil. She has a million of these. I honestly don't even know where she gets them. She just like somehow acquires them. She gets a ton from my mom's house. So I'm getting rid of both of those because I know she has a million others in her actual like makeup bathroom drawer. And the other kind of biggish thing was her grow clock. Do you guys have grow clocks for your kids? We do in Leo's room, and he now has to the point where he actually uses it, but just as a standard clock. And he can like read the time, and he's like very aware of what time it's bedtime and what time's wake up time, that kind of thing. Whereas Annie Rose completely just goes by when our bedroom light turns on. That's when she's allowed to come out of her room, and she knows that. So she doesn't really use this right now. I think I'm gonna put that into the bag where we have the two small clothes. So it's kind of still handy in case of emergency or something, but chances are we're probably not gonna use it. So phase one is just to get it out of that room. And lastly were my clothes, and I even had time when I went through there to try on a dress that I was like hemming and hawing about, but I ended up really liking it, so I'm gonna keep that. But this is I got rid of like a pair of jogging pants that I've had for a really long time. You know how you have those jogging pants you never actually wear out of the house? They're like your home jogging pants where they're like so comfortable, but you don't actually want to be seen in public with them on. So I now have 3 pairs of those, which I feel like is too many. I only need 1 or 2 pair. So I kept my 2 favorites, and these ones are just so old and so stretched out and so stained and ripped and like in terrible condition. So I knew those have been bugging me. They've been on the back of my mind that I want to get rid of them. So that was an easy choice. And then I ended up getting rid of this cardigan too, which I really wanted to like. but I have 2 others that I just know I always reach for more, and I just wasn't loving this one, unfortunately, even though I really wanted to. So I just made the decision to let it go, and I know that I'll be grateful for it so that I have more space in that bottom drawer. Hey guys, that is our speed declutter. That's how much I got rid of in 22 minutes. In 22 minutes, I got rid of all of that stuff. Like quick decisions, easy things to get rid of. I feel so good about that. That makes me feel just like a little bit more organized. It feels like the house feels like a little bit more reset. And I know now that I can go through, if I have 20 minutes, maybe tomorrow or the next day, I can go and choose a couple other small spaces to tackle as well. So it gives me kind of that momentum to keep going, which I always love. If you end up doing a 30-minute speed declutter this weekend or this week or this month, share that below. Let us know how it went and what spaces you did. All right, guys, I'll talk to you very soon. Bye.